travelers that are on Zoom. We do have some people on the screen with us this evening, and we appreciate your interest in our next trip to Normandy in the Champagne region. We're very pleased to work once again with Quest Voyager, and the leader of that company is here with us tonight, Ian Scott. Thank you, Ian, for being here. We really appreciate your time. I had an opportunity to be a guest of Quest and Ian last year and to experience this trip, and it really is a wonderful experience. It was a beautiful trip, very meaningful, and I hope you are all going to decide to come because we're about 1/3 full already. So what we want to do is we want to fill a first bus with about 45 people, and then once that bus is full, we will start a wait list for the next bus. Typically, our chamber, Waterbury Regional Chamber, we attract between 60 and 70 travelers on our trips. So we love to have big groups where we can really split the groups into two and have you form relationships. And I know that people have made friends. I see a bunch of people over here that have traveled with us before, and it's great to have you here again. So without further ado, Ian is going to walk through this trip to France and Normandy and the Champagne region. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn, for having me here. Thank you, Terry, for having me here today. And thank you all for coming to our presentation on our next adventure, Normandy and the Champagne regions. For those people, it sounds like that table all sat together, have all traveled together. I think there's some other people in the room that's traveled with the Waterbury Chamber before. You'll know that these are wonderful events. We call them international awareness programs, where you go overseas to foreign lands, learn different cultures, different histories, sample different foods whenever humanly possible, have as much alcohol as possible in the back of wine and schnapps and all that good stuff, and travel together with like-minded individuals. We've been all over the place. We've been to Italy a couple of times. I think we've been to Spain. We've been, where else have we been, Terry? Croatia. Yes, and we've got another Italy going out this year that's already full, which we're doing another meeting straight after this event today. So, yeah, great to be here again. Great to Greece, that was the other one. Yes, Greece. So 2026 is no different. Great trip, great, wonderful destination. It's one of my favorite destinations. If I could open up in a conversation that I think everybody in today's day and age should go to Normandy. Everybody in today's day and age should go to Omaha Beach, on the Hock, go to the American Cemetery to really see the sacrifice that those young Americans laid down for us many, many years ago. It's a moving place. When you see the expanse of Normandy Beach, Omaha Beach, it is unbelievable. And I have thought on many occasions jumping off one of those landing crafts and running in a hail of bullets. I don't know how you could do it, but they did it. And I think everybody in this country right now should head out there and see a little bit of living history on what those American soldiers did way back when. So we'll see pictures of that. We'll see pictures along the way of Camembert, of Caen, of Reims, which I can't say because I'm English, because I can't roll my R's. So it's nothing like a Reims. You got to really roll. If somebody can roll their R's, come and say it for me at the microphone. Yes, we're going to see the Champagne regions. We're going to sample a bit of champagne virtually tonight. And we're going to see the hotels we're in and out of on the program. For those people who haven't traveled with us before, we use a style of trip planning, what we call the cruise philosophy on land. We don't like to go one night here, one night there, one night somewhere else. We like to have extended stays in destinations. Ideally, we like to have one destination for 7 nights. We would be doing you an injustice if we were to do that on this program. So we have 2 destinations on the main program. We have Caen on the in the Normandy coast, the old capital of Normandy, and we have that rolling our Reims in the Champagne regions, the gateway to the Champagne regions. It's a 4 and a 3. In such a way, it gives you the opportunity to unpack your suitcases, take the creases out of your clothes and relax. Very similar to what you would do if you were heading down to Miami or even New York on a Bermuda cruise. Those you take the crease out, unpack your suitcase, take the crease out, close and relax. The only difference that our program does as opposed to a cruise is hopefully our hotels don't move in the evening. They stay static. But we move in the day. One day we go north, south, east, or west, experiencing different cultures, different histories, different ways of life, and back to the same hotel in the evenings. And that's the beauty of it. Our hotels are centrally located. We're in the port area of Caen, so there's a plethora of restaurants, from souffle restaurants through to typical French restaurants, really restaurants of all types, shapes and sizes are all there in front of you within a 10-minute walk, and the same in Reims too, as we're just off the main pedestrian walkway, which is the heart of the town itself. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about this destination. I'm going to show you slides, as I mentioned. If I may ask a favor, if you could hold your questions to the end, I'd greatly appreciate it. By the time we arrive at that section, I am sure that the majority of your questions will have been answered. But please feel free to fire them at me at that stage. If you're on Zoom, you can always use the chat feature. And before I go tonight, I'll also answer any questions in chat as well. So yeah, let's head out. So we're heading out April the 12th through to the 20th is the main program. Great time to be heading into this region, lambing season. We should have some buds coming out on the trees. We should have some starters and flowers in the hedgerows. We are in Europe, so we can get any season, any time of the year, but we're hedging our bets for better weather in this particular period. And it's a great time, especially when we're around Mont Michel, as we're looking at here, because it's full of sheep around, and it'll be lambing season too, so it'll be kind of good. But what this program is going to bring is, yes, wonderful ancient structures, beautiful coastal landscapes. We've got histories. It's going it's a little erratic. Thank you. Histories and towns far different than elsewhere in France. In actual fact, if you were to go into London and over to Stratford-upon-Avon, the home of William Shakespeare, and come into the Caen area, you wouldn't see much of a difference, because William the Conqueror, he did control the British Isles at one stage, and the Norman conquest brought all the history and architecture to southern England too. So it's very Englandified, being in the heart of France, which is one of the beauties of this program. But we've also got, of course, Second World War history, and all washed down with great food, great hospitality, and great drink. Of course, it's famous for wines, but this region also is famous for its apples. It's apple ciders, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, or even their apple brandies. And we're going to be sampling some of that on the trip. All mixed with friendly people, part of the European Union. And the majority of people in this region speak English and are willing to speak English. The first day is a day when we are going to be flying overseas to France. Now, it's an overnight flight. And I'm always very frank and forthright in all presentations. You'll get to know what airline we're on and what routing we're on a little bit later on, about 30 to 40 days before we depart. If you happen to be an air connoisseur and you have to be on a specific airline on a specific route, we recommend that you do take land only, which is an option on our booking engine, and you make your own way over to Paris and meet us there and get transfer. But it should be, I can't see a reason why it shouldn't be a non-stop out of New York directly into Paris, because there's so many of them. Unless all of a sudden the airlines all stop and we've got to go through a different way, but I'm sure it will be on this particular itinerary. But we'll be arriving into Paris, Charles de Gaulle, and welcome to Paris and welcome to France. As soon as we arrive and go through customs and immigration, you'll be met by your tour director. Your tour director has forgotten more about this destination than we will ever know. They'll introduce you to, oh my goodness, they'll introduce you to your driver. I'm going to put that down. They'll introduce you to your driver, make sure they don't switch, make sure the driver drives and the tour director directs. And they will be a wonderful partnership to help you understand and experience this wonderful location. As soon as we're all there, we're going to be on our motor coach for about a 2 to 2.5 hour transfer from Paris through to Caen, along those beautiful Normandy farmlands and fields, eventually arriving into Caen. Caen is, of course, home of William the Conqueror. It was the official capital of Normandy. And it's also now in recent history home of the Normandy landings. It's a wonderful architecture. Here we've got a statue of Louis XIV, and we'll be seeing the Abbey of Saint-Étienne, which in actual fact is one of the very few remaining, other than the castle, remaining structures that were left during the Second World War after the bombings. A lot of the Allied bombings were targeting areas around here, but it was informed that there was a lot of French refugees and resistance fighters inside the abbey, so this region, this structure was spared, so it's in its entirety. And we're going to go into the abbey. We'll see the locations where the refugees were. It's a beautiful structure. We'll go into the cathedral itself through the main archways, and here we are in the main cathedral, and this is the tomb of William the Conqueror, who founded the abbey in 1063. He actually invaded England in 1066. So 3 years before he invaded the British Isles, he built this structure. You can actually see the amount of money that was in France at the time. When you see these buildings, they're intricately designed, they're ornate, they're huge, huge. After that, after our city tour, off we'll go down to the harbour area, and this is where our hotel is located, the Mercure Caen. And it's, again, just by the small craft harbour. And all the way around this harbour, there is restaurants and bars, and there's always an Irish pub somewhere. There's one straight opposite the hotel, if anybody needs a bit of Guinness in France. But you are right there in the main centre. This hotel has everything we're going to need, as any 4-star first-class hotel would do. It has restaurants, bar. It has one of the best breakfasts I've had in a while. It's got hot and cold meats. It's got fresh breads, crispy breads, more cheeses than I knew what to do with, fresh honey, cold cuts, yogurts, juices, all sorts of things. Yes, it's a meal in itself. The rooms have 1 or 2 beds, satellite TV, direct dial telephones, Wi-Fi, and there's a lovely, it's a small bar, but a lovely bar, where you'll be able to get together each evening and talk through the day's events. Before we know it, you'll have had a good night's sleep, and day 3 will be on us, and after breakfast, we'll be on the Normandy D-Day landing tour, and we'll be heading up north along to the coastline of the English Channel. Our first stop will be Arromatches. This is the area where the landing, the battalions of the support staff built what they call the Mulberry Harbour. The Mulberry Harbour, as you can see, still there. There are huge concrete structures that floated in the days gone by. And we'll get, depending on the tide, we'll be able to see the mulberry harbours that are still left. Here's the beach itself, and you can see the wide expanses of the Normandy beaches is unbelievable. Here's one of the mulberry harbours up close, a huge concrete structure. And there would be tanks, trucks, everything coming off of cargo vessels. They basically built the harbour themselves. They didn't make a static one. They made it a floating harbour. And after that, we'll go to Pont de Hoc. Pont de Hoc is where the US Rangers climbed the cliff we're looking at here, a 100-foot high cliff, to eliminate 6 guns. Now you can see all the holes left in the ground. Those are left over from the bombing, trying to get the what we call the pillboxes, or the fortifications with armor coming from the ships. They've left them as they were. We'll arrive at, you can see one right on the end. The pillbox will be inside that in a moment. You'll see a lot of military equipment. We'll have information on stories of US Rangers that were here. We'll do there's a small museum there. There's about a 5-minute to 6-minute video on the storming of the cliffs. And here we are now actually walking over to one of those fortifications. Again, you can see the craters caused by the bombs entering into the crater. Into the pillbox and the fortification. As I mentioned, there were 6 of these, 6 guns, 6 155mm guns, which had to be eliminated, because if they weren't, all the ships, the landing craft would have been in range of these guns, and Omaha Beach and the landing crafts would have been a danger if these hadn't been eliminated. And here we are still inside. And the reason these are still there is they're so thick. The concrete is so thick. You'll be able to see where some of it was damaged, and there's some bullet holes here and there, but my goodness, they are so thick and indestructible. And here we can see now the invasion and also some of the mulberry harbours. After that, we'll continue on to Omaha Beach, and here we are. And on Omaha Beach, this is at high tide, where we'll see both memorials. Here we've got the new memorial. It's the saber swords coming out of the ocean. This is to commemorate the landings in 1944. June the 6th, not November the 6th, June the 6th. And we'll also see the old memorial. And as you walk the wall around the beach itself, there's history on who invaded, and some maps on how the invasion forces came. After that, we'll continue to the Omaha Beach Museum, War Museum, which is an old museum built in old style. There's a lot of mannequins, a lot of tents, a lot of military equipment, lots of bits and bobs that have been picked up over the years, which is really interesting. It's not one of those interactives with an iPad these days. It's a raw museum, which is really refreshing in today's day and age. And it also has scenes in the background of storming the beaches and going through the farming lands afterwards. After that, we're going to go to a very moving site, which is the American Cemetery, and that is Omaha Beach to the right of it. So you can see the stretch of Omaha Beach. It goes on forever, and at low tide, it goes out forever too. It's not a very deep beach itself. Nearly 10,000 soldiers who sacrificed their lives are here, and it symbolizes the profound cost of freedom. Here we are in the pool of reflection, continuing on into the cemetery, where you'll see the names of the deceased soldiers right there and there. And it just goes on forever and ever. Coming back to the hotel that evening, rest up, reflect on today's adventure, and then day 4 will be upon us also quickly. Now, day 4, we have a few of what we call our cultural discoveries. Cultural discoveries is something that we're proud of. Anybody can take you to see Normandy. Anybody can see Point the Hock. But we want to take you to places to learn a little bit about its people, a little bit about industry without, making contracts. Just learn a little bit about it, a little bit of the underbelly of the country. Whenever humanly possible, we drop in a bit of alcohol or food in that, as it's always good. So in today's, we've got camembert, the cheese, the famous cheese, and we have apple brandy, which is very famous in the area. And the first one, we're at the Calvados Christian Distillery. We will have a tour. It's a family-run distillery. It's the most famous apple brandy. They use parts from tanks from the Second World War as part of machinery, which is still working today. They tend not to use it too much, but it's still working. We'll go through the cellars. We'll learn a little bit from family members about the distilling of apple cider, the non-alcoholic, reducing it down to a 40 to 60% proof alcohol. At the end, we always have a bit of sampling. There's a really interesting thing here too. You may be able to see it. It's a very well-lit cabinet with an orangey yellow thing. You can probably see it on the right-hand side. They actually grow apples or pears inside the bottle. The apple or pear never leaves the bottle. It's almost like that ship in a bottle, but it never leaves the bottle. They eventually cut it, and then they put alcohol in there, and then the apple breathes in all the alcohol. It's really fascinating, really fascinating. You can just see those orangey yellow things, those are apples inside the bottle itself. After that, we're going to carry on to Honfleur. Honfleur is a picturesque Norman harbour town. It's known for its historic architecture, and it's a place where many of the Impressionist painters such as Monet spent much of their time, and they were painting a lot. We'll wander its narrow cobbled streets. We'll head into the harbour. We'll then continue to the Church of St. Catherine. This region is known for its sailors. This church was built by sailors, and as we go inside, you'll see the actual church roof is like a ship's hull. It's the wishbone ship's hull, built in the 15th century. After that, off we go through the dairy lands, through lush green lands, cows everywhere as far as we can see, arriving to Camembert. We've all had some Camembert. How many people have been to the actual place where Camembert started? It's a really small, I'm not going to say town, it's a village. It is the birthplace of the famous cheese, which has become a French culinary heritage. Here we're going to visit a family-run farm and learn a little bit about Camembert, the making of it. And this cheese was really started in about 1790s, and it really became famous when Napoleon got a taste of it, and he had it shipped all over during his campaigns. The village today only has about 200 people living in it, and we're going to sample some of it whilst we're there. After that, back to the hotel, rest up. Maybe go and sample some of that apple brandy in a local shop. Maybe try some champagne. And day 5 will be upon us. Now, we're a big believer in getting as many included features as possible. Included tours, included meals, and such. But for the people who would like to allow a little bit of freedom, having at least 1 or 2 free days when you can do whatever you want and do whatever you'd like to. And this is one of those days. You could wander through Caen, you could, do whatever you want to, do some shopping, for French clothing, go to a fromagerie, you'll smell them from a few miles away, because you'll be able to smell that ripe cheese, which is fabulous. Once you get rid of the smell, it's unbelievable. You'll find a few fromageries in and around our hotel, or if you wish to, and you want to be on the go every minute of the day, you'll be able to take an optional program with us, with only you in mind. And this one is going to be to Mont Saint-Michel. We'll be heading over towards the Atlantic coast, westbound by our motor coach, arriving through to Mont Saint-Michel, which we're looking at. It's a Benedict monastery that over centuries was built on and built on and built on again. It's known for its sheep. It's known for its salty butter. They don't need to put any salt in there because it comes from the grass. It's a very salty grass. So you'll be able to sample some of the salty Mont Saint-Michel butter. You'll see sheep all over. We probably will see lambs, but this is what we're going to see. And it is an unbelievable structure. It took centuries to get where it was. It started with a little bit of a wall and then built up until it's in its final state that we're looking at here. And it is in marshlands overlooking the entire bay. And as you can see here now, it is unbelievable. It's a medieval abbey perched on a rock. There is another rock that you can see just a little bit further away, which was what this was before they started to build. They never bothered building on the other rock, but they built on here. It's almost like going into a scene from Harry Potter, going down Dargan Alley with wonderful little narrow cobblestones, shops and such things as that. Now, this is an optional tour. If anybody has any concerns about walking or steps, well, you might not want to go all the way to the top because they didn't build elevators when they forgot to put the elevators in when they built it. Okay, so there are steps to go, but that shouldn't stop you from going and experiencing this. Just to walk around the ramparts that you can see there is just enough to say, oh my goodness, this is special. And to look up at the structure after you, behind you, is just unbelievable. It dates back to the 8th century, and as you can see it here, and it's dedicated to the Archangel Michael. It used to be completely cut off, but they have built this platform right now, which now makes it that we can get in and out at any time. And in actual fact, from the coach park, we take a little motorized transportation to get there. Once we're there, we'll go through the main doorways, which we're looking at here, the portcullis, which is right there, which used to close the monastery off during night periods or during attack periods. And here we are on Grand Street. Grand Street is full of all different types of shops. You can see we're at low tide right now. The tide has gone out. We probably will see the tide at one stage coming in or coming out. It's very fast moving. So you'll be able to see why this was a formidable structure, not just those walls. People didn't want to attack it too much, just in case they got caught by the tide. And here we are wandering around the ramparts. Again, if you don't want to go all the way to the top, you can do this. And there are restaurants in and around here. They actually have, I've never sampled it yet, I should do one day, but they have the softest omelette in the world, they claim. They beat it for about an hour. They beat the eggs for about an hour, and it's almost like eating cotton candy, they tell me. But after beating for an hour, it's kind of pricey though. So there's a labor cost to that. The ramparts were built in the 13th century. So 7 centuries after the original structure was started. And now we can see up to the fortification and the monastery on the top. Again, if you don't want to walk to the top, you don't have to, or you can just take your time and try it if you wish. but there's so much to see and do if you don't. But if you can, it brings out a whole host of views and history. And there's the other rock, just like the one we are never got built on. We're now looking down at the coach park that we can see down below, and the portcullis, the entrance itself, heading into the quadrangle and into the cloister where they had to bring soil up, bring grass up, bring all this stonework up the fronts of the rock faces to build all this. And this was a very serene area of the abbey itself. Now, here we are in the banquet hall, and there are the fireplaces. There's two of them, the biggest fireplaces I've seen in my life. This is where pilgrims that came would be entertained, where they'd be fed. You can look, I'm the one on the right-hand side, two other people. There's another one of those fireplaces on the other side. It's a double fireplace. That's the grandeur and the size of this place that we're going to see here. After that, we're going to have some free time, wander, come back to Caen, and before we know it, we'll spend 4 nights in Caen. After that, we're going to be heading eastbound to Rennes, the headquarters and the gateway to the Champagne region. But along the way, we're going to Rouen. Rouen, often many people miss Rouen. It's a mistake. Rouen is one of the most beautiful, well-preserved medieval towns in France, and as you can see it here, the astronomical clock right there, which still works. Here we are going under the astronomical clock. We'll have a guided tour of Rouen. It's a beautiful Renaissance architecture city. After that, we'll head into the Old Market. The Old Market is where Joan of Arc was burnt at the stake. Right there, we're looking where those chairs are, the little bisons. That's where she was burned at the stake in 1431. After that, we'll continue into the cathedral. Again, look at the money that this must cost to make. The craftsmen of today, there's no way they could have made anything here. There's gargoyles, there's all sorts of ornaments, there's animals, everything. You could probably spend a couple of hours just looking at the facade of the front. Now, once we get inside, you'll learn a little bit about English history again, and how this region was backwards and forwards between English rule, French rule, as here we've got a very English king. Richard the Lionheart is buried here in Rouen. Now, only his heart apparently is buried here. The rest of him is buried in another cathedral a little bit further down, but back in 1199, he died and he was buried here. Joan of Arc, we'll see in a moment. Here's the shrine to Joan of Arc.
Look, I have a lot of stuff.
There wasn't much left of her. For those people going on to Paris, it is said that she was scattered in the Seine, so you'll be able to see her burial ground if you're going onto France. But again, back in 1431, she was burned at the stake. Afterwards, we'll continue on to Reims. And Reims has a mixture of Art Deco, Roman history, but it's also French history. Many of the French monarchs were all crowned in Reims Cathedral. Upon arrival, we'll be checking into our hotel. It's the Holiday Inn Reims, which is just off of the main drag of the pedestrian area. It's just been renovated. It has beautiful views of the cathedral itself. And here we are, and for some reason, I don't know why it flicks in like that. Again, anything that you need from a first-class 4-star hotel is right here. Bar, restaurant, there's actually a rooftop bar and restaurant, satellite TV, air conditioning, heat, direct dial telephone, friendly and efficient staff management with a will to satisfy and a great breakfast again. And great location. First night's a night to relax, maybe just take out of the hotel, turn left, 5 minutes, you're on the main pedestrian area where there's a lot of champagne houses and such as that. Get your first taste of a French champagne if you're not already involved with French champagne. Relax and take it easy. Day 7 will be upon us, and then we are going to have our city tour plan, and continuing on to the Champagne area of Epernay. But we'll learn about Reims. We'll be heading and learning about the cathedral, learning about the French aristocracy and royalty that call this area home, and most of the French monarchy had been married or crowned inside Reims Cathedral, which we're looking at there. It's a beautiful Gothic cathedral, as we're looking at it now. After that, we'll be going inside, where we'll see the Smiling Angel and the beautiful stained glass that's the cathedral. Continuing after that, we'll go into the heart of the Champagne area and into Epernay, and you'll see the money and the history that's around this beverage. Beautiful mansions, beautiful architecture. We're down the Avenue of Champagne right here, which is a small street that will go down. On either side, you'll see famous champagne houses. You'll even see champagne houses you didn't know that existed, which might be even more expensive than the ones that you know exist. So there's a whole host of different champagnes, and you'll see lots of beautiful villas with histories. We'll be stopping along the way at one of the champagne houses. We usually stay at Michel because it's a good one, and it's a large one. Now, this region here, it is said that they have an Epernay. It's the most expensive real estate in the world. Now, it's not most expensive because of what's above ground. It's because of what's below ground. There are miles and miles of tunnels underneath the ground of Epernay. The one that Mercier, somewhere between 20 and 25 miles. It's that big, there's a train that we go on. So we take a little train, an electric train, and we'll see all the bottles, all there fermenting, most of them magnums, which is the big bottle, and we'll learn about champagne and how it all is. There's no machinery involved. It's all hand fermented, hand turned, hand corked. And it's a little bit different than wine. We'll be seeing, yes, thousands upon thousands of bottles. I was recently in one of the champagne houses, and I asked how many bottles they had down there. They refused to tell me because it's a secret, just because of the security. So I did a quick calculation, I did a quick count, and I calculated there was about $1.5 billion worth of bottles down there. That's just in one champagne house. And again, wonderful. After our tour of the cellars, we'll also have a little bit of time to sample whether it's white or whether it's rosé, and just really get into the way of Reims, Epernay, and champagne production. Day 8. A day to relax, take it easy. You might have got hooked on champagne the day before, and you're just going to go and hang out in one of those champagne bars down the pedestrian area. Or if you'd like to, we've got an optional tour, which is the over to the Palace of Tau, and a walking tour of the Art Deco area. Beautiful Art Deco buildings in Reims. And here we are at the Palace of Tau. Palace of Tau was the official residence of many of the royalty when they were being crowned in the cathedral. It also has a beautiful treasury itself. Before we know it, we've got our last evening, time for our last farewell dinner on the main program. And day 9 will be upon us, and we'll be leaving Reims behind. Oh, we are? Oh, okay. Okay, we're leaving the main program. Sorry, we're leaving Reims behind and heading back to Paris for our flight home, or an extension with cherished memories of wonderful history, great champagne, great wines, great coastal views and beautiful architecture spanning centuries. Now, what you get for this particular program, we class ourselves as the leader in first class 4-star programs. You get round-trip air from New York. You've got 7 nights in first class 4-star hotels. You've got 10 meals, daily breakfast, and 3 dinners. You've got all your sightseeing except 2 days. You've got a tour of Caen, you've got Honfleur, Camembert, and a apple cider distillery. You've got a tour of Normandy beaches, Omaha beach, and the museum. You've got a Rouen walking tour. You've got the Champagne tour and Reims city tour. There's 2 optional day tours, which is the Mont Michel and the half-day walking tour of them. You've got a Quest Voyage tour director from arrival in Paris all the way through to waving goodbye in Paris again. Deluxe air-conditioned motor coaches, baggage for 1 piece of luggage to go underneath the aircraft. All this for just $1 short of $4,300 double occupancy. If you'd like to go single, there are always limited availability, and there are ones that go quickly. If you want to go single, you ought to get your reservation in quickly. But having said that too, this is an early bird discount price. As long as you reserve by October the 5th, if I remember, October the 5th, that's the price. It goes up by $200 on the stroke of midnight, as soon as we get into October the 6th. If you want to go, please sign up. Sign up sooner than later. As Lynn mentioned, we're already a third full on the first bus. We had a situation with the Christmas markets this year that some people procrastinated too long, and they waited too long, and it sold out. So if you know you want to go, get your reservation in ASAP. We give you a tool to be able to do this. And what that tool is, from the day that you reserve all the way up to 131 days before you go, you get a full money back guarantee from Quest. So there's nothing stopping you from putting X on the calendar. I'm going to Normandy and the Champagne regions with us. Get yourself on the first bus, because we know this trip does sell out, and it will sell out based on history. Even the Sicily program with the Waterbury Chamber sold out. We've still got people who are trying to get on, and it's not possible. Not possible. So that's it. We do have an extension to Paris, but we're not.
Mix up between the Austria trip and the French trip. So I had too many countries in Europe.
You want me to talk quickly? Okay, so
I don't
quickly.
know that.
Quickly, we'll talk about it.
Too many European countries in my.
So we do have it. So 70% of every one of our travelers say, I'm already there, I want to see more. So we always look for an interesting destination to go to. 30% of it, we're going to wave goodbye to them. They're the ones that make the bad decision. So you'll be waving goodbye to those, and you're carrying on to Paris. They're going back home. So we've got a 2-night extension here in Paris. And what you get for that is 2 nights centrally located hotels. You get breakfast daily. You get a tour, a city tour of Paris, including the Eiffel Tower or the Mont Tower. So what the difference is, either the iconic Eiffel Tower that looks over the city, or the Mont Tower, which looks over the Eiffel Tower. And it basically is a question of, if we can get tickets to the Eiffel Tower, that's our first choice. If we can't, we get to the Mont Tower. We also have a scenic cruise of the Seine on the program itself. Your tour director will carry on with you. The bus will carry on. You get transfers and baggage handling in and out. It's $7.99 a person double occupancy, $2.99 add to that for single. So day 9, as I mentioned, when everybody else is going back to the airport, you're continuing on into the heart of Paris, and we'll be seeing the Arc de Triomphe. The Arc de Triomphe is actually the war memorial. You'll see the eternal flame underneath the Arc de Triomphe. After that, we'll go to the Champs-Élysées, one of the most famous shopping areas in the world, where you'll be able to get your Gucci bags, your Yves Saint Laurent stuff, where you'll be able to spend quite a bit of money quite quickly, if you wish to. After that, we'll continue on to our Seine cruise. It's a mini cruise. It's about an hour and 90 minutes, wandering down through and in and out of the Seine. You'll see the Eiffel Tower from the water. You'll see the Louvre. You'll go past the Notre Dame, which we're also seeing again here. And here we are at the Notre Dame here with its Gothic architecture, which has just been reconstructed, a symbol of Parisian history and resilience. After that, we'll be checking into our hotel, the Drawing House Hotel, an unusual hotel, because it's also an art museum at the same time. There are lots of art and paintings all on the walls, all for sale. Yeah, it's an unusual. Again, 4-star, first-class hotel, all with those modern conveniences for 2 nights, satellite TV, direct dial telephones, large beds, 2 beds, air conditioning, private bathrooms, which I didn't mention on the left, but they all have private bathrooms. You don't have to go down the corridor to get a shared shower. You all have private bathrooms, restaurants, bar, friendly with efficient staff management. That first night, maybe a night to just head down the Champs-Élysées, see the Parisian way of life, maybe go to the Moulin Rouge. And the next day, we've just had our city tour, seen everything on the city tour. The next one, a free day, where if you wish to, you can wander, maybe head out to Sacré-Cœur, to the famous Bohemian cobble streets, where many of the famous artists spent many of their days painting, like Picasso and Van Gogh. Or we've got a half-day optional day program to Versailles, one of the most opulent palaces in the world. And again, we're getting a glimpse of the money of France. I think of the past, you never know, but the grandeur of French history. Everything is gold as you look throughout the program. And here we're wandering through the main doors itself. It started out as a hunting lodge constructed by Louis VIII and back in 1623, and was really converted into the grandeur by Louis XIV to what we see right now. It is just an unbelievable example of extravagance, of money, of gold dripping velour, marble, exotic wood inlaid floors, paintings coming from the ceilings, from the walls, and such things as that. It was estimated that it cost, back then it was 16 million livres. That was the currency back then in the late 17th century. Here we are in the Ornamental Gardens, which right now, based out on today's currency in the US, is between $2.5 to $3 billion. It cost for this palace way back when. So again, you look at what the money that these people would have had, and now you can see why they were eating cake where everybody else was starving. It's a wonderful experience. You'll go in there with your tour director, with somebody again that's forgotten more about this destination. Before we know it, we've spent 2 nights here, and day 11 will be upon us. We'll be jumping on a motor coach from downtown Paris back to Charles de Gaulle Airport with our flight back to the US, back to New York. Now, you might have heard some stories about this. There's the visa situation of Europe has been backwards and forwards in the spotlight for the last few years. A visa should have been issued for 2023, and 24, it should have been 25, it should have been 26, it should be. No, it's not. So 20, maybe in the fall of 2026, it might happen, but If anything, if history has anything to go by, it's probably 2027. If it happens, it's nothing too difficult. It's just a quick click or two on a mouse on a computer. It's called an ETIAS form. It's an authorization. It's good for 3 years, and it's between 10 and 20. We don't really know the name of it, but for this program, you don't need it for sure. Now, how do you sign up, and how do people sign up already? They use the flyer or the electronic version on the Chamber's website. They either clicked on the link with their mouse or took a photograph, and you can easily do this tonight. Take a photograph of the QR code. It will launch our booking engine, and you can sign up there and then, and you'll be able to go through it all that way. It's really easy to fill out and such things as that. Now, lastly, and then I'm going to open up to questions. I'm a broken record when it gets to travel insurance. You should all protect your trip and your peace of mind by getting travel insurance. You all have house insurance, car insurance, medical insurance. Here in the US, you should have travel insurance when you leave the country. Once you reserve the trip and you press reserve, a pop-up will appear. If you've got pop-up blocker, it might not appear. We know that, so an email comes to you. The same thing in the email. Thanks for reserving. This is what you've reserved. This is final payment date. There's a blue banner. Would you like travel insurance? Okay. Now, if you don't get the email, you've got a good spam blocker too. Go to your spam. It's there. It has to be there. Okay. So take a look there, and you can click on the link, and it opens up this page here, and you can get your insurance right there. It covers such things as cancel for a reason, which is medical. You can't go on a trip. You, immediate family member, can't go on the trip. It covers trip interruption. It covers missed air connections, baggage delays, loss of baggage, emergency.
Meeting first.
That you also, if you wish to, you can get cancelled for any reason. We recommend you get the insurance at the time of initial reservation, but you can get cancelled for any reason as long as you cancel your spot 48 hours or more before the trip departs. You can make up whatever reason you want to cancel. It's cancelled for any reason. It could be the dog doesn't want you to go, the cat's looking at you funny when I'm packing, I don't want to go. You might be a lawyer and you've got a case of a lifetime that you've been waiting for, and all of a sudden there you are, you've got the case of a life, you've got to cancel. Okay, so that's another option. Now, because you're cancelling, you don't get everything back. You only get 75% of the cancellation penalty back. If it happens to be, and I have to say you should, because I'm not the insurance provider, I'm not the one saying yes, accept, no, deny. You should, if it's a medical reason and a doctor says you can't go, you should get 100% back. Okay, because cancel for any reason, you have that option of cancel for any reason, but you get all those other things too. That's our presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Anybody got any questions, please?
Is there transportation from Waterbury to
Yes.
New York?
So hi, I'm Terry,
Hi.
and I probably emailed each and every one of you.
Yes.
Yes, we do arrange ground transportation. Generally, we meet at the Park and Ride over by the Naugatuck Valley Community College. There is a fee, but then you don't have to park or pay tolls or yell at traffic on the way to JFK.
And I just have a follow-up. So what if we decide to do the Paris extension? We can still get.
Absolutely, so the ground transportation
Right.
will be for the main program and the Paris extension, which we are doing. So that ground transportation fee will let you know, how much it costs. I don't want to say now because we never know what gas looks like. But it's very reasonable, and it actually starts, everyone who's been with us before, it starts your vacation a little early.
Yeah.
And we have a good time.
Yes.
I had signed up for the trip, when you first made the announcement back in April.
And I wasn't sure about the extra 2 days, but I would like to add that on.
Yeah,
Um,
so, you've already signed up for it. If anybody else has signed up for it, would like to add the extension, you can go back into your portal. Did you make an account? Did you give a password and such and that? You can go back into your account. If you don't know how to do it, let Terry know, and she can direct you. If she can't, we can help with that. We can go back in and add that. You can also add any day tours that you didn't do too.
thank you.
Yes. Now, importantly, and thank you for prompting that, because I didn't mention it, because we're moving fast. If you are going on the extension, please do sign up for it at the time of initial reservation, because we are delaying your trip back. We're putting another 2 nights onto the program, and it's different air to come home 2 nights, 2 days later on. So please do sign up for that at the initial reservation. Okay? Any other questions?
What's the weather like?
Oh, that's a great question. What's the weather like? I have no idea. So in jest, I would say if I could get it right, I'd also get the lottery numbers right every week. But if we were to talk about history as an example of what we think it should be, we're not gonna, well, I'm not gonna say you're not gonna be. Maybe you started life in Canada or Minnesota or the Dakotas. You're not gonna be swimming in the ocean. People from Canada and the Dakotas are swimming in the ocean in winter in Europe. But you're not, I don't think you're gonna be swimming in that. You might stick your toe in it, but that's not what it is. What we're about is adventure through joint experiences, seeing the land. But the weather should be in the vicinity of somewhere in that high 50s, mid 60s in the day. If we're lucky, touch wood, maybe an early 70. When we were here, when you saw some photographs just a moment ago, that was December.
Oh,
And that was wonderful. That was wonderful. Now, we were lucky, don't get me wrong, we were lucky because that was December. But April should be good. Well, you're probably gonna say, yeah, you get a little bit of liquid sunshine, you might get a little shower here, a little shower there, because that's Europe. But it should be in that 60s to the low 70s, dropping down to a sweater, light jacket in the evening. Any other question? Yes.
Currency for tipping, do they take a US currency or should we get?
Yeah, so currency for tipping or currency as a whole, we are on the euro. So it is euro, that's the official language. Most people would want the euro in shops and such things as that. Most people take credit cards throughout Normandy and the Champagne region. But for tipping, really, tipping is always a personal choice. We'll have a recommendation in your final documents for tipping. But I always say, don't change money. If you have euros, tip in euros. If you don't have euros, tip in US. Don't worry too much. If you have a mixture of both, tip in a mixture of both. But don't go and change money to get tip money. Any other questions, please? No? That,
Can I help you?
no, we have a free departure meeting. How many's here for the free
Okay, I'm right in the middle of a Zoom meeting right now.
You'll be there. So just so you know, if you haven't traveled with the chamber before, we've got a whole host of people going to Sicily now. So if you sign up for Friends, we're gonna have another one of these about 30 days before you go. When we're gonna talk about tipping, when we're gonna talk about currency, we're gonna do a little clairvoyant piece about the weather and such things as that. So we're gonna be having another one of these meetings to answer your questions on the question. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. But if you do have any questions.
I said, hold on.